Hi, and welcome to another episode of Impact Club's The Insider Perspective series. May peace be upon you. I'm your host, Sabah Fatima. In this series of episodes, we are going to learn with experts and professionals from various fields. Our focus in this episode is nutrition and health. I'm excited to delve deep into this important subject with a dear friend. Our guest today is Ifraah Kulsum Khan. She is a qualified clinical nutritionist and a dietitian, a certified diabetes educator, and a product development specialist. Ifra guides individuals and groups to learn to improve their eating habits and instill healthy behaviors into everyday life. Her role includes, but not just limited to, hospitals and healthcare industry, public health and corporates, educational institutions, and fitness centers. She is an entrepreneur. She and her mother run an online clinic called Nutri Cure. They believe in nutrition as a holistic and primary preventative measure to lead a healthy life. They're specialized to tailor diet plans for all health conditions and age groups. They also have their own nutrition product called Nutri Meal. It is a composite health mix that is well balanced nutrition formula and is free of any unhealthy or synthetic additives. Their biggest success was delivering 100 kilograms of Nutri Meal to a renowned dairy farm at Zambia. The product was selected after test and trial among many other brands as a drink that provides sustainable energy. A Nutri Cure, they strive to serve people with the best of their knowledge and ability to make them healthy. Ifra, welcome. How are you doing?
Peace be upon you all. And thank you so much, Sabah, for having me on your podcast. It is my first opportunity, and I'm very excited to do this. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great.
I
And
am very excited too. And without further ado, let's delve in. So, my first question being that there are so many opinions out there on which one is the best diet or the best foods to eat. What do you think are the best foods that we can eat or the best diet?
actually, in nutrition, we have like a lot of development and research going on. So earlier, when we would Google or go to nutritionists or search for the best diet, we would get it as a balanced meal. Okay, a balanced meal
Mm-hmm.
plan or a balanced plate is the best diet. But then now, as far as the research has gone, and we have been, developing nutrition and diets. So now the best plan would be a customized plan. That is, I mean, you just can't give a balanced plan to everyone. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if a person is normal without any comorbidities or any other health issues, a balanced plan would work for them really well. But then there are certain parameters that we will have to take into account, like the height, weight, BMI of a person, the fat levels in the body, do a body composition analysis, and also a customized diet plan takes into account all the medical conditions. Like in case
Mm-hmm.
the person is diabetic or hyperlipidemia or has any other health issues like blood pressure, so we have to take all that into account, take in the reports, and then customize like tailor-made plan that is the best plan. So yes,
So, so this plan is, you know, special to each individual.
yes,
And
it is specially tailored for each and every individual, taking into account their entire body parameters. They also take into account the food preferences of a person. In case they
mm-hmm.
are vegetarian, non-vegetarian, vegan, or they want to follow any other diet, high protein, low protein, they go in with if there's a kidney patient, you have to give them a low protein diet. Based on their parameters, we need to tailor a plan. So a balanced meal plan would not be good for everybody. This is all I would like to answer for this. And
Mm-hmm.
the answer to your question about the best foods,
Mm-hmm.
I would say is choose whole grains and ban refined foods. Whole grains are, they are wholesome, they have complete nutrition, and
Mm-hmm.
refined foods are completely, they are processed and they are
Mm-hmm.
made into products that are not good for us. Like that, the nutrients are lost in the processing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, choose whole grains, ban refined, choose home prepared, ban packed and processed. So this is like the two-liner I always follow, and I always tell my
Mm-hmm.
clients to follow. That would that those are the best foods to eat. Home prepared foods, they are the best than the
Mm-hmm.
packing product ones.
That is such an important point, and I feel sometimes that point is not um, emphasized enough in our society, especially, and in our culture today, because all sorts of advertisements are thrown at us, and all sorts of cooking regimens are thrown at us, and sometimes we fall prey to a lot of processed food because sometimes it's easier. And I
Yes.
want to ask you to give me a few examples of whole grain foods and a few examples of non-refined or refined foods that we have to avoid.
Okay, see, so whole grains are uh, wheat, millets, rice that is
Hmm.
unpolished. These
Hmm.
are whole grains, okay, and the ones that are not processed. Refined foods are like the refined flour that we get from wheat itself, but the
Hmm.
fiber and other nutrients have been removed. Like the outer layers of the wheat pod is
Hmm.
removed, and only the internal portion that is only starch or carbohydrate is
Hmm.
given. So that is
Hmm.
refined flour, and we get multiple products made out of refined flour. That is
Hmm.
your pizza bases, your white breads, your noodles, pastas.
Yeah.
All these are refined foods. So
Hmm.
yes,
So it was like consuming this product that is stripped out of the fiber basically pumps up your sugar levels,
yes, it
you
increases
know?
your sugar levels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, eating it in a moderation would be good. That's
Mm-hmm.
not an issue. Okay, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we do indulge in foods like sweets or maybe maida paratha or maybe
Mm-hmm.
pastas and noodles. We all are fond of it, but it shouldn't become a daily habit, or it shouldn't become like a lifestyle in
Mm-hmm.
us. Sometimes is okay. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes is okay, but then this increases your sugar levels. This will add to your obesity. The world is
Mm-hmm.
already going through a pandemic, so
Yeah.
that will bring down your immunity, and it will give you a lot of deficiencies except carbohydrate, starch, and maybe very few amount of protein will be present in it, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not enough for the body, so it's not a power packed food as
Mm-hmm.
such.
That
Yes.
is great advice, Ifra. Thank you for that. We hear a lot about processed foods, sugar, non-organic foods, and some we don't know are harmful or not because they're conflicting opinions about them. So, what is your take on foods that are not fit for consuming?
Yes, that's a very good question, and it needs more attention now than ever,
Mm-hmm.
as the world has already been, headed towards a pandemic, that's COVID-19 in 2 years. But I feel a bigger pandemic is actually obesity. People die. We have the mortality rates in obesity and related, morbid disorders from
Mm-hmm.
obesity is higher than that of COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, processed food is actually an altered food. Um, there are various reasons, meaning it is not in its true form. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not fresh to consume. For example, it's not fresh to consume. So, like processing is done for various reasons. Main reason is to preserve the shelf life of it, so that the product does not get, spoiled or rotten faster.
Mm-hmm.
So, to preserve the shelf life is a major concern of processing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to preserve this shelf life, they add a lot of other substances that are known as additives.
Mm-hmm.
It could be loaded with sugar, as in jams and spreads and other syrups, or it
Mm-hmm.
could be loaded with salt and chemical preservatives, usually done used in pickles, sauces, canned
Yes.
products, and chips,
Mm-hmm.
your bakery foods. All these are loaded with sugar, salts, and preservatives. Also,
Mm-hmm.
adding harmful colors to food products to make it more appealing is practiced, like in candies, in cake toppings. You like dark red, you like dark
Mm-hmm.
blue, you want this color. So, this
Mm-hmm.
deep pink. So, these colors that are not permitted and
Mm-hmm.
harmful shouldn't be used. Okay, so excess sugar, salt, preservative loaded foods are the major cause of health issues now, and they even lower the immunity drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
That's so important to understand because um, we need our immunity, and immunity it has played a huge role in the pandemic itself. Um,
exactly.
and I I personally feel a lot of times when people are not educated about this topic, are not made aware of how harmful these products can be. We find these products in our pantry almost every day, or we
Yes,
find them in our
almost every
kitchen
day.
almost every day. So they're always there, and they are there to basically really harm you in ways that you cannot imagine.
Exactly.
So thank you for bringing that up. And how can one cope with emotional eating habits like overindulging and overeating, especially in these kind of products, and also habits like loss of appetite entirely, etc.
Yes, Sabha. But before this question, I would like to also answer about the organic foods that you asked me in the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are basically organic foods are these foods are grown without using synthetic chemicals like human-made pesticides or fertilizers, and do
Mm-hmm.
not contain genetically modified organisms. They are naturally grown. They are not
Mm-hmm.
genetically modified, or any of that process is not done. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, organic foods are very safe to consume, but my point to ponder here is that if there are regular checks kept on the production agent,
Mm-hmm.
especially in our society, I believe that more than 60% foods named organic, just labeled organic, are not truly organic. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's better to eat what is what you get from the local vendor than
Mm-hmm.
going to the organic store and buying them, because I don't believe paying a higher price for
Mm-hmm.
stuff that is not like really organic is,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make sense actually.
Yes. And I want to highlight what you just said, not just for our listeners in India, but also in the US, where we have local farmers markets, where we have locally grown vegetables and fruits.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
feel there needs to be a bigger market for these farmers, for these initiatives.
Yes,
And
they have
thank
to.
you for bringing that up.
Yes. So moving on to our emotional eating and
Mm-hmm.
overeating and loss of appetite. So best thing to do is for all the parents out there, or who have small kids in their house, what they can do is you train the kids from young.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do not use food as a reward or punishment. Food is usually used as a reward, and
Yes, it is.
yeah, right.
So
So
you get a
change.
candy if you stay quiet.
Yeah, exactly. So the child gets emotionally attached to food during that phase itself. So do
Mm-hmm.
not use food to change, a behavior, or anything, maybe behavior or the way children act. So, like you said, don't give a candy. Just if you stay quiet, you get a candy. If you stay quiet, you
Mm-hmm.
get a chocolate. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not a, you make the children attached emotionally to the food. So every time they're like, okay, let's stay quiet so that we get a candy. No, that's not the thing. Kids have to be themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you should change their behaviors by other methods, telling them why doing this is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So do not bribe kids with food, as this habit gets them emotionally attached, as I mentioned. And overeating can be due to many reasons, many reasons. And this has to be taken care of by a professional. That is, either you go to a nutritionist or a dietitian.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly mindful eating has to be practiced. Like overeating could be due to emotional reasons, could be due to psychological reasons, could
Mm-hmm.
be you're not eating mindfully, just sitting in front of the screens and gulping food.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so not thinking about what you're eating, it generally causes overeating. Yeah. And then loss of appetite, that also has many reasons in depth. So it is generally taken as a common concern, but it has to have given importance. So
Mm-hmm.
loss of appetite could be due to underlying conditions like infections, or psychological causes, boredom of preparing meals, eating
Mm-hmm.
alone, loneliness,
Mm-hmm.
and then acidity, bloating, ulcers, or underlying deficiencies like magnesium deficiency could cause, and your B complex deficiency could cause, the appetite to curb down. And
Mm-hmm.
other medical conditions like if someone has hypothyroidism, your metabolism slows, and so does your appetite. Liver disorders, also due to certain medications like antibiotics and recreational drug intake such as
Mm-hmm.
heroin, cocaine, and morphine. All these lead to loss of appetite. So yeah, this has to be taken as a major concern and has to be looked in very, very, very deeply.
Mm-hmm. So, so mindful eating really helps in coping with some of these disorders or some of these challenges that I guess many of us
Yes,
face today, with like,
yes,
especially in the pandemic, with our mental health, taking a toll. And eating has been something that is easily available, I guess, to us at
yes,
our
yes,
at our homes. And so I feel, being mindful of what we're consuming is huge, and I think that's
yes,
missing
exactly.
in a lot
Exactly.
of times during the day, especially when we're going through something emotional, when we are
Yes,
we are tensed, or we have something that is preventing us from really being mindful. So we
yes,
need to,
exactly.
get back into it and practice mindfulness, which is hard, but I guess that's the way to go.
Yes, that's the way to go. That will be hard, but then practice, it will make you get into it. So that's, yeah.
Hmm. So, what tips would you give to someone who is trying to lose weight and to someone who is trying to gain weight?
Okay, someone who's trying to lose weight, yes, we have to find the reason why this person wants to lose weight, and then how much weight he or she wants to lose. This has to be taken into account, and then a completely tailor-made diet has to be given. That is, rich in complex carbs. Complex carbs are the ones that I said that are whole grains and not
Mm-hmm.
refined. So
Mm-hmm.
cut down the refined, cut down the processed, cut down the unnecessary sugar intake.
Mm-hmm.
Also, increase the good fats. That plays a major role. That is your nuts and seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds, your nuts like almonds and walnuts,
Mm-hmm.
and rotation, oil rotation. This is
Mm-hmm.
basically not practiced here in India. But I do appreciate in the USA, I've heard a lot of people saying that they practice oil rotation. That is, if one month they use one kind of oil, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
sunflower oil, the next month they will use a rice bran oil, and the other month they will use a safflower oil. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like that. But I would also like to say that the Indian platter is the most balanced one. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we have foods that are made out of, each platter has different type of oils, so there's a balance set there in India. So
Mm-hmm.
the pickles are basically made of mustard oil or sunflower oil, and the chutneys are made of til oil, that is your sesame seed oil, and
Mm-hmm.
your other preparations are made of groundnut oil. And yeah, this is how we set a balance in India. So yes, but the higher oil consumption could cause being overweight. So cut down your oil consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And here even family size matters, like the number of oil, that is liters of oil purchased per month, also has to be taken into account. So family size also is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and include a lot of good proteins, lean proteins like fish, chicken, egg whites, and milk. And for the vegetarian sources, you could include soya, legumes, pulses into your diet. So yes, this would be for someone who wants to lose weight. And then someone who's trying to gain weight, you need to increase the same. A tailor-made diet has to be given. Consume healthy foods, not I have heard people consuming a lot of processed and junk foods just to gain weight. And for both, I would like to say, matlab, who wants to gain weight and lose weight, for both, I would like to say that work on your stress levels, reduce your stress levels, increase your water intake, keep a check on your sleep, and underlying medical conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I guess both like gaining weight or losing weight has a lot to do with the eating habits.
Yes, a
Um,
lot to do with eating habits and exercise, both work hand in hand.
Both. Yeah, that's an important point because
Yeah,
physical activity eases this process. And
exactly.
mhm. So, what steps can one take to take control of their health and start eating healthy? Because we know there are people, and a lot of us are guilty in indulging ourselves in a not a very healthy lifestyle. We are guilty of letting go of ourselves in this regard. So, what do you think
Yes.
we can do to start this process, start to being healthy and and gaining back that control of our lives?
Okay. First would be set your timings right. That is, make your routine very perfect. Like, don't have three heavy meals or four heavy meals. Instead, have, equally spaced small and frequent meals. Maybe every two
Mm-hmm.
or 3 hours you could have something small, so that you don't have the mountains and the valleys, what they call it in our terms. It means
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have very high and low energy levels. That is like, when you eat, your energy levels shoot up, and when you are like in that time gap in between, you don't eat anything, maybe a mid morning snack or a mid evening snack, so it goes down like the valleys.
Mm-hmm.
It goes as deep as the valleys, like it goes down your energy levels, and then you get other issues like nausea, bloating, acidity. So to curb all this, I think you should eat, and I truly believe you should eat small, frequent, and equally spaced meals. And
Mm-hmm.
keeping in mind the portion size is very important. Being mindful of what you eat. Okay, mindfulness, we will talk about it in depth also. So I just want to make sure this point is here everywhere in every answer. So
Mm-hmm.
be mindful of what you eat. Eat for your activity level. Like, don't before it used to be like, you know uh, eat to live, do not
Mm-hmm.
live to eat. Do
Yes.
not live to eat. But now it is eat for your activity level, because since the pandemic has started 2 years ago, and we all are into the sedentary state, we do not
Mm-hmm.
perform any physical activity. So for example, if you're someone with a sedentary activity level, that is, you have just a desk job, you take just a few
Mm-hmm.
steps in a day, so you cut down your caloric intake. Whereas if you're a highly active person performing physical activity regularly, or a sports person, or you're hitting the gym every day, then increase the calorie and protein intake. But here the caution note is all under the guidance of a dietitian. So you
Mm-hmm.
have someone to plan out your meals perfectly, so that you don't overindulge in eating, or you don't eat very less. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So I guess the first step would be to really take a reality check on what we eat
yeah,
every day, what
exactly.
our eating habits are, how frequently we eat, and
Yes,
to have those equally spaced small portion of meals. Starting with
yes.
that would, I think, would give us the momentum to to take to take those steps further in terms of choosing the right products to eat.
Yes, yes. Small steps would, give a bigger success, but follow it consistently.
Yes, and that is a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
so, so tell me more about Nutricure and how it has impacted your customers.
Nutricure, I would like to share our recent success first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was our very hardworking, very motivated client who lost 25 kgs of weight in 5 months.
Oh wow.
uh, he had insulin resistance, and his doctors had like mentioned to him that weight loss is very very necessary, as it if he didn't lose weight, he would go into like comorbid conditions such as heart issues or lung issues. So I would really like to appreciate the motivation he had, and the motivation of his wife also, to support him
Mm-hmm.
so well, and give him everything. Actually, she was in contact with me. The
Mm-hmm.
client was in contact with me through his wife, so she was taking care of everything. And I would really like to salute to her that she gave him such
Mm-hmm.
good atmosphere, did not make him feel that okay, he needs to lose weight, so I'm working for him. She didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
She took everything positively.
Mm-hmm.
And my client, even he took everything positively. He used to work out really well every
Mm-hmm.
day, even in Ramadan. Even in the month of Ramadan, we gave him a tailor-made Ramadan plan that is good,
Mm-hmm.
balanced meals for his early morning meal, that is the suhoor. And for
Mm-hmm.
iftari, we gave him a very iftari is like the evening where we
Mm-hmm.
break the fast. That meal also was like tailor made for him. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is one of our biggest successes. And at Nutricure, we really strive to serve people, out of our best knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
concern. We are really there to motivate, and we have dedicated our time, our time and our efforts to them, so that it
Mm-hmm.
really brings a change.
That
It
is
should really bring a change.
That is amazing, and congratulations on this effort. And you bring up a very important point when you said this was a joint effort. It was There was a person, that was his wife, that was helping him through this process.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think
yes.
having a support system outside of yourself really helps at times when you
Exactly.
do need motivation. And that is
Yes,
great to
it
hear.
really helps. Yeah, it really helps. She's been very positive with it, so it's really great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Please share your take on the role of exercise in our lives, and what advice would you give to those who are starting to work out and feel overwhelmed?
Okay, one point I would make sure this should like sit in everyone's routine is
Mm-hmm.
that exercise is the key to almost everything. The key.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
many of us do read articles like how effective exercise is, but we hardly, put it into our lives. We hardly follow it. We hardly try, giving in efforts to do
Mm-hmm.
it. So the basic benefits of exercise are it helps to regulate your weight. Either you want to gain weight or you want to lose weight, you have to work out. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're gaining weight, you have to work out more actually, in fact, to build muscle. So exercise there plays an important role. It helps you to prevent medical conditions like diabetes, hypertension, heart disorders, and
Mm-hmm.
it helps you to control medical conditions. For people who have already having these issues, they can
Mm-hmm.
control the levels of sugar, the levels of their blood pressure, and their cholesterol levels, and other levels as well. They can
Mm-hmm.
control it by exercise. It helps you
Mm-hmm.
to improve the total quality of your life. Like it strengthens your bones and muscles. There's better
Mm-hmm.
coordination and body balance is achieved. Increased happy hormones.
Mm-hmm.
When you work out, there are happy hormones that are released, and it reduces stress. So whenever you're
Mm-hmm.
stressed, don't overindulge in your food, but
Mm-hmm.
work out well.
That is
So
a
yeah,
great advice, because a lot of times when we are stressed, we we
yes,
indulge in eating, and if
yes,
we are
we
going to
indulge
get
in.
the same result by exercising, then why not?
Yes, this is like my personal experience. Whenever I am stressed, see, stress is a common thing everyone has in life. Okay, so I can't
Mm-hmm.
tell that any person does not have stress in life.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone does have stress in life. So yes, to reduce stress, workout is like the best. Even a small brisk walk could do great to your stress level.
Yeah, I
So
guess starting small and staying consistent is key, and
yes, yes,
walking being something that is easier to do and easier to stick to would be a great starting point.
yes. Start with brisk walks, which is pretty much easy for all. Any age group could walk.
Mm-hmm.
And in case you want to build muscle or you want extra, physical activity you want to perform, you can always go to the gym. You have certified gym experts there, fitness experts, so you can take their
Mm-hmm.
help and they will really be there for you. So
Yeah.
but increase 5 minutes of physical activity per day. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting for long hours, maybe take a 10-minute walk, do five
Okay.
sit-ups, do neck
Mm-hmm.
rotation or your arm
Mm-hmm.
rotation. That will increase your metabolism, increase your, reduce your stress level. Little
Mm-hmm.
steps would do much greater for your body.
Yes, that is an important point. And
Mhm.
how can one practice mindful eating?
First and foremost, we need to avoid screens while eating. Looking watching movies, watching
Mm-hmm.
dramas, watching series, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and I don't know what more.
There are a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot. So the list wouldn't end, and we would end up the time for this podcast. So avoiding screens while eating is the major thing. Practice portion sizing. Like don't
Mm-hmm.
fill up your plate more than what you require. Maybe take small portions 2 or 3 times. It's okay, but
Mm-hmm.
don't fill up. If, for example, if you're a rice lover, don't fill your plate just with rice. So there
Mm-hmm.
is balanced plate that has to be followed, how your plate should look like. So everyone can go into like mygov.in, and there you will find this how your every day every meal plate, how it should look like the portion of vegetables, like the portion of protein, the portion of dairy, the portion of carbs that should be there in your meal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will be great for practicing portion size. Also, chew your food well. So this also comes where we are on our screens and we are thinking about something else, some stress in our lives. So what we do, we start gulping food. We don't chew. There's no
Yeah.
time, and we're like in a rush. We are in the rush hour every time. So we gulp in food. We don't chew well. So that is not a part of mindful eating. So when you chew food, you know how much you're eating, and the energy breakdown is there even in chewing and digesting. So when you chew
Mm-hmm.
your food well, you're burning a part of your fat level in your body. So keep that in mind and chew well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are so important, and thank you for sharing them, because we don't think about these things. For us, like, for the most of us, it's like, oh, it's dinner time and let me just get over with it so I can carry on with the rest of my activities or the rest of my day, if it's lunch or if it's breakfast. So just like sitting down and really taking it in, knowing that I'm going to eat a meal, making sure that I'm mindful about it, I'm taking my time, I'm chewing.
Yes, exactly.
And probably most of us, especially as you mentioned, when we are watching something, it's hard to to actually be mindful of did we even eat. We don't even know. We just feel
Yes, we
full.
don't.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't keep in mind the portion size. We don't keep in mind chewing well. We gulp our food. We eat large portions, and then we complain that we are obese, overweight, or we are, having these medical conditions. What do we do? So we are worried
Yes.
without anything to worry actually.
Yeah, so I think these little things are so important, and thank you for bringing those up. And um, my last question for you today is, how
Hmm.
can one improve their overall nutrition?
If all that I have mentioned in the previous question is adapted, then a
Mm-hmm.
person, nutrition levels will increase really well. Like
Mm-hmm.
practice mindful eating, practice portion size, routine yourself, practice your physical activity on a daily basis. And then, I would also like to highlight the point of reading labels when you buy products here. Reading
Yes.
labels is very important. And I think we should have a session on that too. It's a very in-depth and detailed
Mm-hmm.
thing where we could tell the listeners how to read labels. We could teach them how to read labels. So
Mm-hmm.
we could do that. And takeaway message I would like to give is there is no shortcut to success. You need to work hard with dedication
Mm-hmm.
and motivation to reach your health goal, because it's our body, it's our health. We aren't doing it for anybody else. So I think we need a little motivation and dedication. The motivation
Mm-hmm.
would be given by us, by the professionals, be it a nutritionist or a fitness expert. But the dedication and working with a little hard work should be there from the other side too. So that
Yeah.
goes as a balance.
Yes. So it's us and the help that we seek from sources around us.
Yes.
And you did mention labels, and I just want you to touch up on it for a minute or two
Yeah.
and give us a few pointers there.
Okay. Like when you buy a food product, I would actually, my research in my final years of master's was based on this. It was the hidden sugars and fat levels in snacks consumed by adolescents. I was
Mm-hmm.
working on adolescent obesity, so which is a major concern right now. More than
Mm-hmm.
elders and older people being obese, we have the adolescent and the childhood obesity now. So, what I would like to mention here is there are a lot of hidden names of sugars like
Mm-hmm.
glucose syrup, invert syrup, and anything that ends with OL, xylitol, mannitol. All these are sugar-based, additives that are added,
Mm-hmm.
but are hidden under these names. These are basically sugar that is hidden under the name of invert syrup, high fructose corn syrup. All these are
Yeah.
sugars. So when one wants to buy a sugar-free product, when the label says sugar-free, I would urge you to please read the label before buying. Just because it is
Mm-hmm.
labeled sugar-free, yes, it is the name sugar is not there in it, so it is the name sugar-free, but it is hidden under the names that I just mentioned.
Yes.
So just be mindful about that. And even fat free, it is not actually fat free. So
Mm-hmm.
any product for processing it requires some amount of fat. Okay, unless you're like making it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, maybe we make it in non-stick pans or we grill it. Even grilling requires some amount of fat, so that is okay. But the fats that are used outside are more of saturated ones. The saturated
Mm-hmm.
ones, like sit in your body like hardened rock. They are the
Mm.
hardest to get. So yeah, please read your label before buying food.
Thank you for sharing that, Ifra. And it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. And I would love to do this again. Let's delve deep into some of these subjects, and I'm sure our listeners will benefit greatly from this.
Yes, yes. Anything that the listeners are, most of our listeners want to know about nutrition or
Mhm.
health. So we could have a discussion about that. I will be really happy to do it. And thank you so much for having me on this.
Thank you so much. And yes, listeners, please give us your input. Tell us more about what you would like to hear. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts about this episode and talking to you. And I look forward to talking to you in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you. And I shall see you again next time.